Hi guys, it's Jenny, and today we're doing an awesome flow. If you sit a lot, if you sit in an office or maybe in a lorry or a truck or a van, this is going to be awesome. So we're going to start off by standing. We're going to get up out of our seats and we're just going to move around. We're going to jump, we're going to spin, we're going to twist, move your arms, make it weird, just stretch, make space. Do whatever you think. You can try and follow me if you want, but just something that makes your body go, oh yeah, that's what we needed. So this is just 30 seconds of wiggling, like in the most literal sense of the word. So just wiggle around, rotate your neck, your shoulders, your back, anything. You can do a few jumps, you can stretch, take up space. Deep breaths, and we're just waking our body up from being stationary. Then we're going to stretch our sides because we kind of get all clumped up, so we want to make ourselves nice and tall. So you're going to reach your arms overhead. Ooh, don't hit your lights. Cross your elbows over like this, so one hand is grabbing each elbow overhead, and then lean to the side. Push your hip out as if you're trying to get your hip and your shoulder really far away from each other, so you feel the stretch all up this side. Deep breath. And then other side. Hip and shoulder moving away from each other, making a really big C shape. And then extend the arms up. Well, if that was really intense, stay there, but if it was okay, extend the arms up. We'll do the same thing, but with straight arms. Big stretch, other side. Stretching the sides often gets missed. It's so nice, especially when you have been sitting, and you can just, in a few breaths, make yourself feel nice and tall. Second thing we're going to do is you'll need a chair or a sofa or a low table or a stool, anything that you can put your foot on, and a cushion for your knee if you like. I do, because it makes me feel all cozy, means I can stretch for longer. And we're going to get into a couch stretch position. So what I've done is I've put my knee on the floor with my foot up on the sofa, other leg out in front. So I would be in a lunge, but my back foot is up, elevated. Immediately this might stretch your quad, and the aim here is to tuck your hips under. So we're not arching like this, we're rounding the back. Think about someone's just punched you in some kind of action movie, and you're like, your whole back is tucking, rounding, your hips are rotating under yourself. And we should start to feel the stretch move up from the quad to the hip, which is where we want it. We're extending our hips. If your quads are quite tight, you may still feel it in the quad, and that's fine. But over time, as your quads loosen up, you'll start to work on the hip. So lift up the same hand as the leg that's being stretched. And we're going to start having a wiggle again, because we've just been still. We don't want to stay still again. So start twisting your torso. Your hand can be up. Or you can move your hands around. So I'm just rotating from side to side and seeing where do I feel the stretch more. It's definitely when I turn away from the back leg. And then we can try bringing the hands back down and rotating the hips. As you get more towards the front, you may feel an increased stretch. As you go back, it's less of a stretch. And then we can lift that arm up again and just do our side stretches as we did before. Stretch to one side, stretch to the other side. And then lean into it. See if you can go nice and deep into your low lunge. You may have not gotten any further, that's okay. You're just thinking about pushing your hips forwards. And let's swap sides. Hands on the floor, switching your knee. Other side. And we're going to do the same thing with the hips, tucking the pelvis, rounding the back, as if you've just had some kind of anime to the chest, and you're hollowing out, and you feel that stretch get more intense on the hip, tucking the pelvis under. And if you can, while keeping that tuck, sitting up nice and tall. Arm up ahead, overhead. So it's nice and straight, and then we can start our wiggles. So twist one way, the other way. Arms can be up or they can be out to the side. Either way is good. You can put your hand on your knee. Just see what you can think of while you're here. I mean, if it's your first time doing it, you might not have too many ideas. Rotate your hips. But if it's your second, third, or fourth time, you don't need to follow me. Me and my boring old ways. You get creative. How can you move and couch stretch to make yourself feel more of a stretch? We'll do a couple of side stretches, arm up and over. Another way. And then lean forward. See if you can get into a long lunge, extending the stretch on your hip flexor even more. Okie dokie, we'll pop out of that one. And we're just going to sit on our bum. Very easy, I can do that one. Don't need the cushion at the minute. We're going to use the same thing that we had our foot on to stretch our back now. So we're going to stay seated, hands behind the head, and we're going to lean our upper back open. You may do this one anyway, especially if you work in an office. I used to do this a lot, just lean over the back of my chair, felt good. But we're going to add a couple of wiggles again, of course. We want to get our creativity going, so you're just going to lean over to one side and then the other, and you can lift up your hips and then drop them down. So you're extending the arch in your back. You can do like some reps, so tiny little sit-ups. So you bring your chin down, elbows together, and then open them up. Extend, reach, lift the hips. Just getting yourself moving. And then if all that feels good, try extending your arms so your arms are straight. Cushion is sabotaging me. So it gets a little more intense. You can bring your hands forward, little sit-up, back, lifting the hips, straighten the arms out to the side. And then we can do a twist where one hand comes over to the other. And then extend. So exactly the same as the couch stretch. Follow me, that's great. Or if you've done this before and you're like, she's being so boring, I've got loads of ideas. And just do your own wiggle. Do whatever you feels good. Whatever feels good to you. Excellent. So now we've done our hips and our lower back, or rather our upper back. We're just going to do a little bit of the neck, because that's another thing that gets really tight when we're sitting, driving, typing. We're just rounding our shoulders and we miss this length in the neck. So sit however feels comfortable. We're going to tip our head to the side. So I'm going to my right side, right ear down towards right shoulder, and then we're going to say yes, nodding yes. The left shoulder has to stay down, it's not creeping up. That's where the stretch is, on the left side of your neck. 3, 4, and 5. And the other side. So you can have a wiggle here. It's a bit of a smaller movement, but you can sort of, move your head a little bit as you're doing your reps. But the main thing is just to keep that stretch on the neck. So you can move it however you like. And in fact, we're going to go back to the original side, back to the right side, and start rotating a different way. Start saying no. So your chin goes to your shoulder, and then your chin goes to the ceiling. Again, that left side staying down. And part of having a wiggle isn't always moving in random directions, switch sides. It can also be adjusting the tempo. So I'm just doing reps here. But if you find that one particular spot is really tight, your wiggle could just be, well, I'm going to hold it and breathe. Or it could be moving, but moving really slow to check that you're not skipping any ranges of motion. Just do a couple of big circles. So get creative, definitely. There's loads of stuff you can do. Right, now I've done all that. It's kind of our warm-up. We're going to get into the fun stuff. I'm going to grab my cushion back because my floor is a bit hard. But feel free to do this on a yoga mat, soft floor, or if you're super tough, just on the floor. And we're going to kneel on it. One leg steps forward into a long lunge. So staying low, but we're going to sink into a long lunge. Your knee can go over your toes, that's fine, wherever. Not too strict today on form, in case you haven't already gathered that. And we're just going to start having a wiggle. Oh my gosh, who'd have thought? So I'm going to put one hand on the floor, lift the other hand up. Doesn't matter which one, because I'll do both. And stretch to the side. If you can't reach the floor, just bring over like a child or a dog or something, put your hand on them. Or you could use some cushions, a stool, chair. I've switched to my other side now, one hand down, one hand up. Then we go back to the original side, but I've twisted, so I'm twisting so that my body is open, and I'm using my hand to push myself around. Then I'm going to try and put that hand on the floor and lift the left hand up. So my right foot's forward, my right hand's on the inside of that right foot, and my left hand is up. And what we're going to do now is swap the hands. So my left foot comes down beside my right foot, my right hand goes up towards the sky, and we're going to do the exact same thing we did in reverse. So we're going to lift up so our hands are off the floor. So we're fully twisting the other way now. So I'm now twisting towards my bent leg. If that's okay, you can stay there, or you can start to tip back. So your right hand now goes towards your back leg, and your left hand reaches up and over. So we're really stretching the hip and the back and the shoulders at the same time. Whew, that was nice. If you couldn't quite get that full twist, that's okay. Just doing the other wiggles or doing your own wiggles is just as good. So we're going to switch legs into our long lunge, and we'll start with our leaning side stretches. Right hand down, left hand over, straight to the side, stretch. And then other sides, left hand down, right hand up, stretch over. And then we're going to come up, we're going to twist so that we're open. So I've twisted towards my back leg, and I can use my left hand inside my left knee to push myself a little bit further. Breathe in, put your left hand on the floor beside your foot, right hand up. And we're doing a little twist, it's opening. It's more like the middle of your hip. It's like right in the hip joint, this one. Then we're going to come back up and swap the hands. So the right hand is now down and the left hand is now up. We're going to bring ourselves up. So both hands are off the floor, and we're twisting now towards the bent leg, the front leg. You can use the hand on the knee to twist yourself around more. And if you can, bring your left hand back. Right hand reaches up into our full twist. But no worries if you're not here yet, that's fine. Just have a few of your own wiggles. See how you feel. And then relax. Ooh, nice and slow. A sneaky hamstring stretch if you like. Both knees down. We're going to switch into some cat-cow. So not so strict. So cat-cow is going between an arching of the back and a rounding of the back. But I want you to do a few angles in between, a few roundies, so we can kind of go between the arching and the rounding of the back. But we're doing it via a bit of a loop, we're rotating in the meantime. You can do a few strict ones as well, that's no problem. And then we go side to side, shoulder to hip. We're just having a big wiggle, enhancing all the stuff we've done. The torso has been moving, the hips have been moving. You can do a few shoulder rolls as well. Backwards, keeping the elbows straight, and then forwards. And we're going to finish with kind of a tricky one. It's called reverse plank. In some ways, it's easier than a plank. In some ways, it's harder. So a reverse plank is basically doing a plank with your tummy facing the sky rather than your back. But we're going to start off in a tabletop first. So we're going to have our feet planted, hands planted, and see, can we just lift our bum off the floor? And this is already quite challenging, especially if you're quite limited in your shoulder mobility, which, if you're sat like this a lot, it can be quite limited. So just stay here, even keep the bum on the floor and just work through that range, have a wiggle. extending, rounding, you know, do whatever feels good, rotating, make it weird again. But if that's okay, can you then push your hips up so that your hips are open almost completely? More pressure on the shoulders. It's more of a stretch. Just breathe. And if that's okay, so stay at whichever level you like, or try the level and then pop back down if that works best for you. We're going to try with our legs straight, so we're going to do a plank position, but we are backwards, the reverse plank. So our legs are straight. As we lift our hips, our feet are going to find the ground, extending up. So we've got a long body, lots of shoulder extension. You can relax your neck. You can do rotations. You can breathe. And come back down. Nice. So that one is super intense for the shoulders. So don't worry if you struggle with that. That's okay. It'll just come with a little bit of practice, but it's also not essential. It's just a bit of fun. So to finish off, we're going to sit down. If you can sit in a straddle, awesome, just because we get our hips in a slightly different range of flexion compared to our normal sit. If you're more comfortable cross-legged, or even legs out to the side, legs bent like this, they're all fine for what we're going to do now. We're just going to do some twists. Straddle's just an extra bonus. So we're going to sit up nice and tall. Imagine we've got a string that's pulling us up through the top of our head. We're not arching, we're just tall. Then we're going to take our hands. I'm going to take my left hand, put it on my right knee. Right hand goes behind my body. Tall and twist. And not too crazy now. We're not trying to yank ourselves around. We're not spinning our spine off our pelvis. We're just taking deep breaths and moving in a different direction, one that we're not normally doing. And we're calming down after all that wiggling. Oh my gosh. It was great fun, wasn't it? And then switch sides. So right hand on left knee, left hand behind, sit up tall, and twist. So we're not pushing or forcing anything. If you want to, you can, every time you exhale, just encourage yourself to rotate a little bit more. But we are just chilling now, so no need to push too much. No matter how you're sitting, no matter how your legs are, we're also going to try and lean forwards a little bit. So if you're sitting in a straddle, this will stretch your inner thighs. If you're sitting cross-legged, it will stretch more of your outer thighs. And if you're sat with your legs in front, it will stretch more of your hamstrings. So you can not only just sit how you feel comfortable, but you could also try the different ones, the different positions, and just see which one works for you, which one's the most hard for you. Because sometimes the ones that you struggle with the most are the ones that you need the most. So, we're all done. Hope you feel good. We've ended up sitting down, which is exactly what we're trying to counteract. But hopefully, after all of that movement and creativity, you're feeling a lot better for it.